Welcome one and all from across the country. Today is January 12th, 2017, and this is Mastermind call number 108. Can't believe we're on our second 100 calls already. We have two people in the queue already. We got plenty of room for more, so please star 6 and hit 1 if you know you'd like to actively participate in the call. I'm not seeing I think our CEO is on the road today, so Chad, you want to lead it off, bring the group up to speed on maybe mastery, give them an idea when the next course will be, and anything from a training perspective that you want to share?
Sure. So we are 2 sessions through January Mastery. The last one is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Probably the most interactive class we've ever had. We've ran 2 hours for both session 1 and session 2, which is great. Lots of good questions and scenarios. Interesting mix of folks. We've got some who have been doing probate on their own, like gone to the courthouse on their own, some that have been through Mastery and have been successful, and some that have not even started yet. So the next Mastery class will be in February. I haven't set the dates. It's kind of dependent on my travel, but we're looking at, I would say, probably the 3rd week of February would be the next Mastery class. And as soon as we wrap this one up, I'll find those dates up. And you can always find those if you're in the subscriber portal on the left, you can click on Probate Mastery, or you can, we'll always send emails out to announce the class dates.
Excellent. And Chad, the most common questions I get asked, I think, from a training perspective, other than when's the next Mastery class, is how do I sign up for the closed Facebook group, and where do I find the training videos, the previous Mastermind calls, and the role play calls? So why don't you recap that for everybody one more time?
So when we launched a new website, we tried to roll everything into subscriber portal, so these questions are a lot easier to answer. So the answer to everything is log into your subscriber portal. You can join the Facebook group by clicking on, you can want 2 ways. You can, in subscriber portal, you go to, I believe it's under training. Anyways, there's a link in there. I believe it's under education and training, where you can click directly to the Facebook group. If you're not a subscriber, you're interested in this, you can go to Facebook and search All the Leads Mastermind, and it's a closed group. So either way, you'll land on a page and request access. And then as far as the archives, if you're in subscriber portal, on the left, you click Conference Call. And then on the next page, you click the blue button, that's Conference Call Archive, and then you can sort by month and year, kind of in a podcast format. For those of you who aren't subscribers, you can also find those call archives posted individually in the Facebook group.
Excellent. And, yep, I think you hit it all. Thank you. Tim, I see you're here. Do you want me to leave you muted, or do you have anything you want to share with the group?
Nah, I'm unmuted, but I think I told you earlier, I'm actually running around at the airport right now, and I'll chime back in when I pick up my passenger.
All right, sounds good. Last but not least, our customer service expert.
Hey, Jim, you're cutting out a little bit there, but I really don't have anything specific. But, again, if anyone needs help, just send us an email at support@alltheleads.com, and we'll get back to you with the appropriate person as quickly as possible.
Excellent. We have 2 people in the queue. Am I still cutting out? Could you hear me okay, Chad?
Yeah, you cleared up.
Okay, good. 2 people in the queue. We got room for at least 3 or 4 more, so please hit star 6 and then hit 1 if you would like to actively participate. We love, success stories. We welcome issues, problems, questions. This is an open forum, guys. This is your call. We got a ton of people in here, so please participate. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the first person in the queue. Phone number ending in 4000. You're up.
Hey, how's it going? This is Anthony in Michigan.
Hey, Anthony.
Hey, I actually have a couple questions. One was, I was wondering, when I look at some of the leads Some of the deceased dates are 2-3 years before the probate date.
Yep.
Just wondering, I'm not totally familiar with probate. I more just do the cold calling aspect of it. I was wondering, what does that mean? Is there any advantage? Does that lower the percentage of chances that they're trying to sell the house now, or why is that? Why is there 3-4 years in between the death and the probate?
Very good question, and that's come up before. Go ahead, Chad.
If anything, it increases the chances of a sale. So typically, in my experience and in talking with probate attorneys and the actual probate office in a couple of counties that I've asked this question to, it's typically because the family didn't know what they didn't know. So somebody passed away, they were living in the house, they didn't file probate because they just didn't know the process. And then they go to they look into selling the home or get the home under contract, and then they realize that they can't close the chain of title because the estate was never properly probated. Okay. So it's kind of they're usually backtracking. I had one from 1983, believe it or not. So the vast majority, like the average across the country, is about 2 months, but you will find those outliers that are a couple of years. And sometimes it can mean that they went to put the property on the market, finally asked somebody what they needed to do, and they realized they had to probate to sell. Okay. So it could be a good indicator of their readiness to sell now.
Okay. And then I had one more question. Some of the leads that I have either the attorney listed as the representative or there's some kind of probate specialist representing, basically that does the same thing that I do, but has themselves listed as the representative. I guess it's kind of a two-part thing. One is, I guess you would have a different script for attorneys. I'm not quite sure. It's a little, from a cold calls perspective, it's a little intimidating to talk to an attorney. I would think most people would feel like that, as opposed to just talking to a regular representative of the family or something like that. Do you have any suggestions or ways of looking at it that not seem so intimidating? And then also the other thing is, what is there a different success rate for that? Like if the attorney is a representative, do normally majority of the time they've already got a network of other real estate agents that they deal with, or so I guess that was like the two-part question there.
Okay, so I heard three. We'll take it one bite at a time.
There you go.
The reason that attorney is showing up as in the PR column is most likely they are what most states recognize as an administrator or a fiduciary. Okay. And what that means is they have no relation to the deceased, and the deceased either requested that or was estranged or had no family. Okay. And they basically the state is administering the estate according to state law, and they've appointed a public official or an attorney to act as the public official. So that's usually what happens. And I think a common scenario would be somebody who had no children, or their children died before they did, and they didn't have any other family. They died intestate without a will, and a neighbor goes to probate court and says, "Hey, this guy passed away. I don't know what to do," and the state kind of takes over from there. So they'll appoint that administrator or fiduciary, and they do the job that a family member normally would. So in some states, and I'm not sure about Michigan, I do know in California, it's a profession. So you don't necessarily have to be part of the bar to be a fiduciary. You do have to take classes and get certified, I believe. But it's not always an attorney. In some of the cases that I've seen, there's a fiduciary could be, kind of like a notary almost. Yeah. So to answer your language question, understand what they're tasked with. It's the same thing. So they have maybe real estate, maybe stock portfolios, life insurance, a ton of bills, utilities, the responsibility of setting up a bank account on behalf of the estate. And as somebody who has no emotional involvement in it, they will see even more value in what you do as a professional. It's a true B2B transaction, right? So if you can show that person the value that you bring to the table and how you can make their life easier by having such a wide scope of service, then that takes a lot of that responsibility off of their plate. No different than than a family member, but it's without the emotion of the loss. To them, it's just another file. So just try to put yourself in their shoes before you pick up the phone, and focus on, what can I do for this person? How can my service cause them less work and get rid of this file faster?
Got it. Yeah, that pretty much answered it. I did see some that weren't essentially lawyers or attorneys. They were people that quote unquote specialize in probate, kind of what you guys offer, your own website, your own thing, and they're listed as the representative, professional probate Tim or something like that.
If I were you, I would try to meet those people face to face and learn more about what they do.
Okay.
The more if you're seeing that many in your market, it's really uncommon. And the third part of your question is, what's the success rate? We don't know. We don't hear this very often. So it's definitely not very common to have. I would say in all the files I've seen, 98% are done by a designated personal representative. 2% are done by fiduciaries or trust officers at banks or attorneys. So it's if it's different in Michigan, if it's different in your market, if there's a company that's kind of acting as that for whatever reason there might be that need, I would find out more about why. And what that's going to show you is how you can become more valuable to that person. The more you know about their responsibility, the better you can tailor your service to help them.
Okay. All right, that works.
I was going to add a little bit to that. We always tell the agents, reach out to the executor first. It's the lower hanging fruit. But then don't be intimidated by these attorneys. And I would think the fiduciaries would be in a very similar position as the attorneys. They are most likely just charging a flat fee to get this done, just like an attorney with a probate is not billing hourly. So the quicker you can help get that off the attorney or the fiduciary's plate and let them move on to the next deal, the quicker you can get it sold, the more value you can offer, the more you can take off his plate, the more likely you are to get referrals from people like that on future deals, on future files that they do. I know we've had a couple of people, I think it was Bob Faust out in, or Bill Bird out in California, Chad, that he's actually has judges now. If there's a dispute on with the family, the judge will actually dictate that he lists the property. I know he's had several that have been assigned to him by the court. So, that's a really good in to get known as the probate specialist with these people that specialize in it. So, yeah, don't be intimidated. They may know more of the legal aspects of what's going on than you do, but I guarantee you know more about how to get that property sold, which is really what they're looking to accomplish.
Okay, well, yeah, that pretty much answered. I had one more question that later. It was just about the actual membership and billing. Is that something that you guys can cover on here?
Go ahead and shoot it. I mean, typically questions like that send a very specific request to support at all the leads. But just generally, what was your question? If it's more than we want to handle here, I'll refer it on.
It's just a general question, really. When you guys bill, do you bill previously, like you bill ahead of time for the month coming up, or
correct? Like
if someone was to cancel service and they paid their monthly due, do they still get the leads for those 30 days ahead of that?
We always bill you in advance for your next set of leads.
There you go. That's what
and then after you receive the leads, we usually give you some time to digest them. And then if you don't tell us otherwise, we will order and bill you for the next set of leads. So theoretically, if you ever need to take a break or anything, which we hope won't happen, you just let us know, and you'll have a set of leads coming, but we won't bill you again.
Okay. Yeah, I saw 2 charges, but it's only my second month, so I was just wondering if it was before or after.
Got it. All right,
so, and
perfect.
that's it. Appreciate
All
you guys' help.
Thank you so much. Great questions. We have one more person. Oh, good. We got two now. We got room for more, guys. *6 and then hit 1. Next up is phone number ending in 2152. You're up.
I don't really have a question. I just wanted to have the availability of talking to you if I wanted to.
Well, wonderful to hear your pleasant voice. Well, boy, the cue is, it must be your voice that did it, because we just had 3 more people come on. So.
Oh, my goodness. Why aren't there more people? I don't understand.
Hit *6 and hit 1 if you do have a question. Thank you.
Okay.
Next up is the phone number ending in 1189. You're up.
Yeah, this is Belinda. Actually, this is a segue from the prior question. If we do need to take a break from getting the leads, can we still remain a member and still have access to, like, say, the mailer motivator or motivator mailer, as well as, like, the Mastermind group, Facebook page, things like that?
No, you're blackballed for life. We never want to hear from you again. I'm just
like
Mr.
Kidding. Wonderful said, you're dead to me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just kidding, Belinda. Yeah, just be real specific when you request, and send the request to support@alltheleads.com. But we want to, honestly, in the long term, we want to do what's good for you. So we're never going to just maliciously cut you off like that. Okay. All right, great.
Okay.
3 more people in the queue. Phone number ending in 7377. You're up.
Hi, this is Resurrection from Virginia. I have 2 quick questions. One is related to attorneys. So a prior client that I sold a house to referred me to someone who actually works in a probate attorney's office, and was really impressed with me and is scheduling a meeting for me to come in and speak to all of the attorneys.
Wow.
Should I take them a copy of the probate prospect letter that I send out? I'm definitely going to take my brochures, but what should I package together to present to them, to show them my marketing and to show them my experience with working in this area?
Great question, especially because I know you signed up all of about 10 days ago. So yeah, you want to get some credibility behind you before you go in there. Chad, would you give us some tips?
So the 2 most impactful things that we've heard stories about are Bud Thompson was gracious enough to share a trifold that he made that works really well for a lot of folks with attorneys. You can find that in the Facebook group under Files. He put it in PDF format so you can customize it and get it to a printer. Those make a nice handout for those appointments where you have multiple attorneys. The other story that comes to mind is we had a gentleman in Central Ohio, and when he walked in for the appointment, there were 12 attorneys sitting around the boardroom table looking at his website. And they were like, "My God, how long did it take you to do this?" And he just said it was a lot of work. And it was one of our WordPress sites. So they were just blown away with the value and the copy on his probate website. And like they had it up on like a 70-inch big screen TV, and they were looking at his site before he walked into the appointment. And he had tons of credibility because they had already gone through that, and they realized that, he had taken the time to build a website, had all that information. So they were impressed before they even met him. But I think most importantly is just the human relationship. It's not as much about the collateral. Like once you look people in the eye, and with your background, like all the things that you're doing, I mean, that you're going to impress the heck out of them. So I would focus more on what I'm going to say and how I can bring value to them and make their lives easier than I would on worrying about collateral.
Okay, thank you. And I did actually order the website, so I'm going to have a probate website through you guys, and I already bought my domain name. And then the second question, real quick, is I'm interested in going to my local court and establishing a relationship, and I heard you talk about establishing a relationship with the clerk before. I would like to be one of those people who the judge calls on and says, you know what, I'm ordering you to list your house with, Ms. Graves. So I just wanted to find out if you had any idea of what that process looks like. I mean, obviously, if I just show up at the courthouse, that's what all real estate agents do. So, is there something else that I should be doing?
Well, I think, just finding a judge otherwise is not something that's real easily done. Me personally, when I first moved to Roanoke, I showed up with Starbucks and Smiles. I went and bought a bunch of coffee and just very casually walked into the clerk's office and started, chit-chatting the ladies at the front desk and worked my way back to the probate clerk, and then she showed me the ropes. That was the approach I took. I could tell nobody had ever done that. It was pretty clear. They were like, "Oh my God." They were smiling and just couldn't believe. They were so happy that I brought them Starbucks. But I could tell that no one had ever requested that or sat down with her, because she was just like, tell me again, like, what can I do? And, I approached it with her as, hey, listen, I'm working with more and more families every day, and quite frankly, I'm kind of ignorant to the process. So I just want you to walk me through as if I were a personal representative coming in for the first time today. Just walk me through the process. So I would start there. I would start by building that relationship with the clerk and getting to know the process, and having them teach you something will help form that relationship. And then just ask questions and see if maybe they'll introduce you to the judge at some point. It may be not on the first trip. It may be on subsequent trips, but just do something nice for them and show them that you're really doing something for the community, and they'll probably give you that introduction.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Great start. Go. Thank you. All right. We have phone number ending in 067. You're up.
Oh, how you doing? Joe in Southern California. Two questions. One is offer to fix up the home versus as is. I'm wondering if which happens more often. Do you think that the estates would rather just move it quickly, or go through the process of contractors and fixing it up to sell?
That's an easy one, right, Chad?
Yeah, 99-1.
Yeah, vast majority of them would just soon get rid of it as soon as possible. Would do it as little as they possibly can. The contractor element really comes in if, Joe, when you go do the walkthrough, if you see the roof's leaking or there's a major issue with the house, and it's going to be hard for someone to get a mortgage, then you need to point that out to the executor and say, hey, we need to take care of this, or we're going to have a hard time selling it. Now, I mean, there are people that we've got a couple agents that have gotten like a relationship with contractors where 90 days same as cash, and they really go out of their way to point out maybe if you upgrade this or that, or fix the kitchen up a little bit, maybe you'll get more money for it. But my experience, most of these people are more concerned with time than they are top dollar. So I think the vast majority of the time the contractor's not going to come into play, but we want you to have that as part of your team for the times when it is needed.
Okay.
The perceived value of that is huge. When you sit down and you're so transparent with somebody, you say, listen, we can get you an offer for $80, or we could sell your house for $160. And here's the difference. Someone has to take on the risk, the carrying cost, and handle all the construction and everything. So are you willing to do this? And it will really help you narrow that price down to the as is or the cash price. I'll say I'm in a position where I have contractors that can carry jobs upwards of $50,000 for a 45-day closing period. They're willing to do that for me, and
right.
I've never had the opportunity to use that. Now, I have used that as one of the options that I provide to people, and show them a way that, listen, here's what I think needs to be done. Here's kind of our background. We can manage the contractor. We'll carry the cost. You don't have any financial risk, and we can make an additional $30,000 or $40,000 for the estate. It's just going to take us between 70 and 90 days to get this done. And they'll kind of, we'll talk about that, and you can see their eyes light up, and then you can see them just get scared, go right back to their comfort zone, and just want it done. And we usually settle in on an as-is price. Sometimes they'll go cash and they'll go low. I think the largest budget I've ever had on a probate house, we did $2,500 in work. That's probably the most I've ever done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I guess the age-old question, what's more important, time or money?
Yep.
So, in that term. The second question I had is, I was working with attorneys for about a year in this one office, just, an occasional call or drop by, and if they gave me my first transaction, and they just asked me to meet them with the administrator. It was a court-appointed administrator, but a relative. And they introduced me. This is Joe. Here's the listing. Sign the listing, and everything happened within 20 minutes, and I was on my way. But the person from the attorney's office that met me at the property, she collected all the bills, and she said, "Okay, we'll pay this one, or we won't pay that one. We'll pay this." That's the first time I've seen that. Usually, the families had a little money to do the miscellaneous, the utility bills and things like that. So would it be proper that I ask this attorney for the some contractor, I get a couple contractor bids for small things, like the California mandated water heater strapping and CO2? Would that be something that I should ask him?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially if it, if it's required by law to sell the property, I think that's one they would definitely be willing to pay.
Right. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Excellent. By the way, guys, just give you a little notice. We really try to keep these calls at 30 minutes, but we have 5 more people in the queue. So I'm telling you now, we're going to go overtime today, and I appreciate your patience. Please hang in there with us as long as we can, and let's get through everybody who is in the queue. Next up, phone number 9630. You're up next.
Hey, I'm brand new to the system, so I just have 2 questions. I do not have any leads yet. I don't know if I did something wrong. I went through all the videos and watched them. And the other one is if someone could give some examples of the domains they use for their website.
Okay, now as far as doing anything wrong, you mean that you don't have leads yet?
Right.
How long has it been since you signed up? 2
weeks.
Yeah, that's about how long it takes if we don't have a subscriber in your county. So I would assume your leads would be coming soon. If you ever want an ETA on them, though, just send an email to support@alltheleads.com, and Tom, who's on the call right now, will check and kind of give you an estimate of when we think they're coming in. And then, I'm sorry, what was the second? Oh, the domain name, same thing. Send an email to support@alltheleads and say you need help with the domain. Mark, who does the mailings and the website and the domain names, will get right back to you, and he'll help you with that. That's his specialty. You're very welcome. Good question. Thank you. Next up, phone number ending in 7356. You're up.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So I'm having an issue where a property, the person passed away, and it should be going to probate, and there are 4 descendants in the living trust, but for some reason 3 of them refuse to speak with anyone, and there's definitely a lot of equity in the property. I mean, is there anything that I can do, or just wait for the property at auction?
Well, if there's a living trust, it doesn't have to go through probate.
The property came out of the trust.
Oh, okay. The one person that's willing to talk, are they named as an executor? Was there a will, and was that person named as the executor in the will?
No will.
No will. Has the court appointed an administrator?
Well, I mean, don't you have to go into the probate process to get that stuff going?
Yeah. So what I'm asking is, the one person who you have contact with, have they or anyone else initiated a probate process?
No one has, because no one wants to pay that money.
And it's on the foreclosure list? They've sent a notice of default?
Notice of trust sale at this point.
Oh, even worse. Well, is this the one we talked about a couple of weeks ago?
It sure is.
Yeah. So, again, if you don't have a ready, willing, and able seller, it's kind of hard to work with them. Like I told you the last time, I would probably, if their heads are in the sand, I would get my best investor with a pocket full of cashier's checks, and I would be there to bid.
Got it. Thank you.
Sorry, we don't have a better solution. I mean, Chad, would it be viable to, for the investor to approach them with some cash up front? Deed the property over to me. That's pretty risky for the investor, though. Correct? It still would have to clear the probate process, even if he had title. So that doesn't really accomplish much. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if there's that much equity in the house, he could give them some cash up front to file probate, and then he could record his contract against the deed.
Yep.
And if they ever do sell the property, then they have to pay him to release the contract or sell the house to him. And I have done that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Are there any examples of that anywhere?
So the way it would happen, I mean, still they have to be ready, willing, and able to talk and sign a contract. But you could write a term in the contract that says, this contract is contingent upon probate being filed by X date, using the deposit of X amount that's been given to the seller, and closing must occur on or before X date. If they default, and then once that contract is fully ratified, once everybody has signed it, I would have it signed in front of a notary, and then I would go straight to the courthouse and record it against the deed on the property. So you're still junior to the lender. However, if they try to go around you and sell it to somebody else, then to close the chain of title, you've got to take that contract off the deed. And I've had this happen where, we've made, like $1,000 for somebody trying to back out of a contract. It's like, well, okay, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, so pay me $1,000 and we'll go away. So you can mitigate his risk that way. Now, that's about as much as you can do. If they decide just not to sell and just take that upfront cash and default on their contract, then it's his burden to litigate that, and he's going to spend a bunch of money in court. So there is still some risk there, but that's the cleanest way you could do it, where you could show them money up front to file the probate and make the contract contingent upon that happening on certain dates, and then record it.
And I just have
Is the house vacant?
Go ahead.
Is the house vacant at this point? Is mail being delivered?
Vacant. Mail is being delivered, but it could have been stopped because the person passed away.
Well, the only reason I'm asking that question is one thing you might want to do is literally put together a very official-looking package of information, cite the property and the foreclosure information on it, and put together in a package to all of the people who are the heirs or the potential beneficiaries of it, with exactly what you're looking to go do. And if their biggest concern is that they're going to be out of pocket a bunch, alleviate their concern and threaten to put money in their pocket and see if you can get interest from somebody other than this person.
Right.
And I feel compelled to mention, like I did last time you brought that up, I don't want anybody who's brand new to think that this happens very often, because it's about 1 in 1,000. It really is. But it's good to know how to deal with it when it does happen. So certainly worth addressing. Does that help at all? I give you a few more options or
immensely.
Anything?
Thank you guys so much.
All right, you're very welcome. 2 more people. Phone number ending in 8100. You're up next.
Yeah, I'm calling from Maryland. I've done a lot of cold calls, but this probate call is very, very challenging, especially the lead-in, the initial part of it. I've been trying to write a script for that call, but it's really, I just don't know how to start.
Yeah, I would say it's only
after that.
In just very respectably, it's probably only challenging, because you have something in the back of your mind that you're anticipating how the people are going to react. I'm assuming you're a subscriber, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, have you watched the fast track videos?
Yes, I have.
Okay, Chad, tell him where
I've actually done a first mail out.
Okay, Chad, tell him where he would find the checklist, the questions that you asked the seller.
In fast track number 3, starting at about the 8-minute mark, there's kind of a description of the probate seller interview sheet, which is kind of the guidelines that we follow, and that'll help you kind of build your specific language. I did, at the request of several of you guys, I added a script. If you go to the Facebook group and look under files, there is a written example script. There's so many ways these conversations can go, it's really impossible to script out, but I took my best cut at it. So I would suggest, I would suggest Probate Mastery, because session 3, we spend 2 hours going through the initial conversation and listing appointment. Until you can do that, I would suggest watch Probate Fast Track number 3 and have that printed script and the probate seller interview sheet in front of you. And what Jim said is right. Like, getting your own mindset straight is usually the biggest challenge for new folks. And really believing in what you do and really understanding what position the personal representative is in will help you kind of build that confidence that you're doing the right thing and you're excited about making the calls when you get there.
It's just the first line, the first sentence, the first thing that I've said to them. The rest of it, I can string together because I've been doing cold calls for a long time. It's just hi, is this Jim? Is this the personal representative of the estate of? And then after that, what?
So
just the first line.
What was your name again?
The lead-in, John.
Okay. So, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm trying to reach John Doe.
This is John Doe.
Hey, John, my name's Chad Corbett. I sent you a letter last week, but I was just following up with a phone call to make sure you got it and you understood why we sent that. Do you remember seeing that? It was about the estate you're representing.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
All right, good. Perfect. I'm sorry to be did that answer your question? We have one more person in the queue, and we're really running over. Does that help?
Yes, it does help.
All right. Thank you, sir. Last person today, phone number ending in 1003. You're up.
Rodger Lisi here. I haven't been on.
Hey, Rodger. Haven't heard from you in a
Where
while.
have you been?
Been real quiet. I know we're rushed on time. I just give my excuses. I've been listening, but I've just been running. Got 2 properties on the market before Christmas, and got contracts on them in 7 days in my market. And one of them was a divorce referral from a probate attorney that I had. And I'm about to get another probate property listed, and I've got 2 sphere of influences. It's just popping. 2007 is starting great for me. I wanted to address the issue, and there's a lot to talk about, but I just wanted to say I haven't dropped off the map. I'm still around, and maybe at another time I can make a contribution on the house on Aura that I have that was fit the category of how much is it going to cost to fix it, and what am I going to get for it? It's a good
Rodger,
good study.
for you, take a few more minutes. You always have good stuff to say, and it's good to hear. A lot of times agents like you get successful with this, and we don't hear back from you. So we appreciate you coming back. Is it something you could 2 minutes or less, so you could give us a real quick summary? Do you think somebody
I'll
could
give you a real quick summary.
Okay.
It's about a 1,500 square foot house close to the university. It's a very rentable property. It's I called the personal representative who was the father living out of town. He called me back. He needed some help in getting it done, and there was some significant damage as a result of the death, and he had a $10,000 insurance award to fix the house. And he asked me, what would it take? And I said, let me go and look at it. And I said, it's going to take you $10,000 just to get it up to about $60,000. And then I said, you can take another $15,000 into it if you've got it, and you can basically probably sell it for about $105,000 with that 15. And Then a house sold right down the road for 144, same size and thing. I said, dude, sir, let me say, if we spend a little bit more, you can probably get a lot more out of it. You've got to make the decision on how much you want to spend. Do you want to keep making the mortgage payments on the property and get that? The other option is a short sale right where it is, because I don't think there is. And I think I called you and your lovely bride about the short sale, and he said, don't want anything to do with the short sale. Tell me what I can just to get out from underneath the mortgage on it. And so we moved forward with that. I'm probably going to get that on the repairs finished in the next week or so, and then his 6-month advertising program will be finished first of February. We're going to get that one on the market. So that's a nutshell, but it takes a lot of. It's the location, how much time, and what the family, more importantly, what the family's objectives are. And so asking that question, what are your objectives? What's fitting with what you're going to be doing? And the other thing I said was, you realize you're going to be making mortgage payments during this process. And he said, yes. Okay, as long as you're aware of that. And so we're moving. That'll get on the market probably next couple of weeks.
Excellent. Great story. Thank you so much, Rodger. I think that's a great way to close the call today. Please come back more often, and please contribute. Thank you for that. I'm sure you inspired some people. That's a good answer to what we were talking about earlier. Guys, thank you for hanging in there. Great participation, great turnout. I think this has been our longest call. I always like to end these calls by challenging you. We had some great questions, some good stories, some good ideas today. Take one thing you heard today, one thing that inspired you. Go out and put it into practice and come back next Thursday and let everybody know how you did. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week, and we will talk to you next Thursday.